back to Morning Break, and this week's Monday Motivations brought to you by Gates Brain Health. We are joined once again by Dr. Randall Gates, board-certified chiropractic neurologist and chiropractic physician. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, as always.
It's very exciting to have you here today because I think this is really fascinating. We're talking about gut health and neurodegenerative diseases, specifically Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. I'm going to give myself a little pat on the back for saying neurodegenerative correctly because I have been stumbling over that all day long. A big word, but really it's kind of simple in concept. First of all, let's talk about what neurodegenerative diseases are. I
guess if we wanted to think of your living room, and then think if you had a bunch of crumpled up sheet metal in the living room.
Okay.
And then there's more sheet metal and there's more sheet metal. After a period of time, it's harder and harder to navigate your living room.
That makes sense.
And that's in essence what happens with different neurodegenerative disorders. Different proteins accumulate, but yeah.
Yeah, so basically there's like a lot of just like miscommunication and misfiring, and your body's not able to understand, or your mind's not able to understand what your body's trying to do, and vice versa?
Well, yeah, because if, you know, our brain has millions and millions of neurons, and so if one neuron's not working, then that can happen to the next neuron, and it can spread in a specific fashion depending on the disorder. And as a consequence, then parts of the brain, yes, then start to go offline and not work as well.
And so you were saying that something kind of new and interesting right now in the world of Parkinson's research is the idea that our gut health really plays a key part in Parkinson's symptoms. Is that correct? Or
That's
accurate
correct.
To say?
So simply Parkinson's results from a lack of dopamine production in a certain part of the brain, kind of behind our eyes, is a simple way to think of it. But it takes lots of times years, if not decades, for that dopamine not to be able to be produced from those neurons. And the current thought is that at least half, if not 75% of cases are from almost like an infectious agent that either comes in through our nose or down in through our gut. And it spreads ever so slowly up through our gut into our brainstem and then to our brain.
That's almost like that sheet metal that's preventing that communication from being able to get up to our brain.
Exactly, and that sheet metal is actually in the nerves of the gut. And so then the gut stops working correctly in a lot of Parkinson's patients. In fact, one of the most common presenting symptoms is constipation.
Interesting. So then as we take a look at people who have not yet been diagnosed with Parkinson's, maybe they have a family history of it though, you're really looking at, hey, let's attack kind of that future possible diagnosis with the gut.
With the gut, absolutely.
Okay.
And we're even finding that a lot of Parkinson's patients, it's not genetic. There can be genetic component.
Okay.
Alzheimer's has more of a genetic component.
I see.
Overall. And so kind of what I want everyone to understand too is that there is gut dysfunction. I don't think fixing your gut will fix your Parkinson's. But we do think that a lot of inflammation further promoting the Parkinson's process is actually stemming from the gut. So once food is not moving through, we get overgrowth of bad bacteria. It seems from the research that that can create a systemic inflammatory state that further promotes the Parkinson's process. So is it important to address the gut for a Parkinson's patient? In my opinion, yes.
Okay. And then Alzheimer's as well.
Alzheimer's is a little different. I feel it's even more important there because what we find is that one of the key biological signatures of Alzheimer's is that insulin resistance causes a misfolding of a protein, beta amyloid, in the brain for Alzheimer's patients. And so insulin resistance, now 10 years after the research has come out, is really tied to the gut microbiome.
And so the good news is that if any of this is maybe resonating with you guys at home, Dr. Gates is here to help. Remind folks one more time where they can find you and more information about your services.
More information, 775-507-2000, gatesbrainhealth.com. I also have a YouTube page. I'm doing a whole sequence of YouTube shorts on neurodegenerative disorders right now. So I have a lot of information online for people to access and look at.
Yeah, and that YouTube page is especially helpful. It makes it really easy and simple to understand, just like what we have right now with our conversations. So I'll make sure that there's a link to that on our website, colotv.com, which I'll then post to Facebook as well. So thank you, Dr. Gates, so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we'll be right back after this quick break.